Hello and welcome to another episode of Mr. Kung Has Problems. Tonight we are working on Module 7, Lesson number 13, and we are using measurement tools again today to convert mixed number measurements into smaller units. Today especially we're going to be working with pounds and ounces and hours and minutes. Let's take a look at a few problems from tonight's homework and see if we can get you moving. Let's take a look at problem number 1. I copied problem number 1 and 2 here together because they're both sort of related, but I want to look at just problem number 1. Directions are really simple. Solve. You can use their diagram if you'd like to. I'm going to go ahead and use their diagram, I think, because I'm going to try to solve problem 1D. 1D says 3/4 of a pound. How many 16ths of a pound is that? And how many ounces is that? So we're going to go up to our diagram here and say, let's see, we've got our pound, right? Our pound all the way across that. 3/4 of a pound, let's see, we got to divide up our, let's see, that would be a half would be here. Oops, see, I've already sort of mislabeled it. Well, half would be there, so I guess a quarter would be there and there. So that's a quarter, that's a quarter, that's a quarter, and that's a quarter. So 3/4 would be, let's see, 4, 8, 12 ounces. Okay. There's one of our answers. Oh, and how many 16ths of a pound is? Well, a pound can be divided into 16 ounces, and it would be 12 16ths, right? In fact, I'm going to shade that just to make it a little clearer, right? That's 3/4 of a pound, and that would highlight 12 out of our 16 parts of our pound. So same thing there, 12 16ths of a pound, or 12 ounces. Awesome. Now I'm going to let you guys work on any number of A, B, C, E, and F, as well as to draw a tape diagram to show that 1 1/4 pounds is the same as 20 ounces. Let's take a look at another problem. Problem number 3 and 4 revolve around hours and minutes. And wow, they've done a really big thing for you here because they've broken down an hour into 60 minutes. And this would have taken a very long time and a lot of little incredibly small hash marks and incredibly small numbers. You know from watching previous Mr. Kung Has Problem videos that Mr. Kung would have never been able to do this with his his finger drawing on his iPad. So it's a really lucky thing that they've done it. So I'm going to let you solve A through D yourselves. It's very similar to the issues of gallons and quarts. It's very similar to other issues of pounds and ounces. This time we're just taking the big unit of hours and breaking it down into minutes. I want to do this problem though. Problem number 4. Draw a tape diagram to show that 2 1/4 hours equals 135 minutes. So let's see, 2 1/4 hours. So I know I'm going to need to break some holes down into quarters, so I'm going to do that right away. So that's a whole hour, 1 hour. And how many minutes is each quarter of an hour? Oh, I see. So let's see, we could, if we broke that down, an hour would be 60 minutes, right? 60 minutes. So half of it would be 30 minutes. So a quarter of it would be 15 minutes. So I'm going to say 15, 15, 15, and 15. We'll do sort of the minutes inside. But we've got 2 1/4 hours, so we're going to need to do another whole hour, broken down into 15-minute sections, right? Go ahead and label that as another hour. We're going to do another one, right? Broken down into 15-minute sections, 15-minute quarters. And again, this is another full hour. So 2 1/4 hour is how many minutes? So 2 1/4 hours would be 1, 2, plus a quarter, right? So it would just be this amount. So I'm just going to do this in red. That amount, right? So really we would be adding up all of our 15s, right? All these 15s, all these 15s, and then this one 15. And I don't know how your skip counting by 15s is, but mine is not fantastic. So I'm going to think of this as 60 plus 60 more, 60 plus 60, let's see, I'll just write that down here. 60 for the first hour, plus 60 for the second hour, plus 15 for the third hour, equals, you know, I'm better at those first two 60s. 60 plus 60 is 120 plus 15. Ah, now I can see the end in sight, right? 120 plus 15. So we'd add 1 more 10 and 5 more 1s, 135. And hey, what do you know? We've drawn a tape diagram that shows that 2 1/4 hours is the same as 135 minutes. Fantastic. Let's take a look at one problem. Problem number 5, look at these complicated directions. Solve. Let's take a look all the way down at what they think is maybe the most difficult of those problems, and that is problem number H. 5 1/3 hours is how many minutes? So this is a classic number bond breakdown. So the 5 hours, let's see, there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. So the 5 hours would be, let's see, 60, 120 180, 240, 300 minutes in 5 hours. Now, if you need to go ahead and do that here on the side where you need to multiply 5 times 60, hey, go right to it. The trickier part here is that third of an hour. How much is a third of an hour? So what we're really talking about here is 1/3 of 60, right? 1/3 of 60. How many thirds? Let's see. How much would be in a third? So 60, let's see, well, 6. A third of 6 is 2, so a third of 6 tenths must be 2 tenths. It must be 20. So let's see, does that make sense? 20, 40, 60? Yep. 20 would be a third of 60. Yep. So 300 for the 5 hours and 20 for the third of an hour. We can add those two together probably in our heads to say 320 minutes. So I'm going to leave the other 7 problems here in number 5 to you, as long as your teacher has assigned them. And I thank you for joining me for another episode of Mr. Kong Has Problems. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.